What it do, YouTube? So, the way I compile information is I bounce it off a couple YouTubers and friends and whatnot, and then once it boils over, I have no choice but to make a YouTube video about it, essentially. So the three things that I'm going to talk about in this video are three-letter agencies and how we can protect ourselves from their intrusive spying upon us who do nothing to offend them except exercise our right to freedom, ultimately. 50 million people and what it would be like to have those additional 50 million people living amongst us, and the sixth sense. So, to get started, we need to encourage software developers and hardware developers to implement processes and procedures into our daily internet lives that would help encrypt or hide us from those who want to remain nameless. They know who we are, but we don't know who they are. And there's something wrong about that. When people are watching you so intimately through your cell phone's camera lens, they know you. They know your social. They know everything about you, just like the Truman Show. Except Truman didn't know any of the people that were watching him. And there's something very wrong about that, folks. So one of the ideas that somebody had was, for example, when we do Google searches, instead of sending out one Google search, we need the software to send out 10, so that the data that they're collecting becomes useless because it's not accurate. Something that I came up with, and I'm sure other people have talked about it, is OtterBox cases, or competitors thereof, that have a piece of plastic that allows you to slide it over your lens, front and rear. That would be a very easy implementation, and it would guarantee that, hey, they could be seeing through it, but all they're going to see is a black screen. So, why don't we get on it? And if you have any other ideas as far as how to protect ourselves from those that are monitoring us and shouldn't, put those in the comments below, because we need to start brainstorming ways and ideas to protect ourselves. I hate being paranoid. It's not really paranoia, because this is factual information now. They're selling your information, and Donald Trump signed it, apparently. Yeah. So either we're going to get off the internet, or we're going to make the internet usable for us by making the information not usable. Second topic for debate is 50 million Americans. That's the number of people we've murdered since the 70s through abortions. 50 million. Now, the most recent census says we're at 324 million Americans. You add 50 to that, even with a 10% mortality rate, so let's say 45 million of those 50 million abortions actually survived. You're looking at 370 million Americans. But on the flip side, we could have easily killed 100 million since the 70s and only have 274 million. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. But one thing is true, is that the abortion rate at its peak, 1 million a year, is equivalent to the million a year that die by way of heart disease and cancer. Cancer kills 598,000 people a year, at least that's what it was in 2010. And heart disease kills 578,000 people. So combined, that's 1 million people. Along with abortions, that's 2 million people. And I think in 2010, 2.5 million people died from not just cancer, not just the 1 million or 1.2 million from cancer and heart disease, but from fatal car accidents, which are on a decline, among other things. So, in a sense, we can just, what I'm saying is we can just reduce the death rate and have more productive Americans building infrastructure, curing cancer, not doing remedial tasks. If those 50 million people were alive to just work at a 7-Eleven, it ain't really doing us any favors, right? Because they're not like making life that much better. They're just there to serve us. And rightfully so, we're all here to serve one another. But if you can serve in a greater capacity by making somebody's life that much more beneficial, by curing them of cancer or reducing any ailments, then that would be a wonderful thing. Lastly, your sixth sense. Now, they say we have 5, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, sense of touch. That's 5, right? Science hasn't classified the 6th or even told us what it is. But we know to trust our gut. Now, when you're hungry, you're getting a sensation, a sensation that you're hungry. When you use marijuana, THC actually heightens your, not 5, but 6, if not more, senses. That means your sense of sight, your sense of hearing, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of touch. They're all heightened by THC, which is received through THC receptors in the human body. It's wonderful that He created us in His image and His likeness, because that means He also has THC receptors in His body. Does God have to smoke? No, He doesn't have to smoke. Neither do we. They have edibles. They have everything that we need. God has provided. And that's how good He is. So when bullies, for lack of a better term, call out medical marijuana users as stoners who just get the munchies, they're just ignorant of the truth. And the truth is, THC heightens your senses. So you might not even be hungry. Smoke some marijuana, then all of a sudden your body's hungry, because the sense of hunger has been increased. And because it has been increased, you feel hungry. And then you might go make a PB&J and throw some bananas in there as well. Who knows? You might do something a little out of the ordinary. But some of the greatest foods we have were probably created by those who had a heightened sense of taste and smell. So don't knock it. And I won't say knock it till you try it. I'm saying just don't knock it, because you don't understand. Now, if you try it, you might understand. Some people have an allergic reaction. Very few. The percentage is probably equivalent to those that are born with XXY male-female genetics, which is like 0.017%. So there are some people that don't get the effects from THC today, but in 10, 20 years they do. Or they did before, but now they don't. And that usually means THC receptors have been burnt out, and you really have to fast. Whether it's fasting from liquids, solids, tobacco, marijuana, fasting from television. Sometimes you have to reset. Just like we reboot computers and reboot phones, our bodies need to be rebooted. Because the body is a vessel, and there's a soul operating this vessel. That's why the eyes are the window to the soul. And sometimes the human body wants to do things that the soul doesn't want to do. And then there's things the soul wants to do within you that the human body doesn't want to do. Such as those that are going through withdrawals from morphine, or you name it. The body doesn't want to come off of that drug because it's become so used to it. I hate to use the word addicted to it, because they want to call addiction a disease, and I don't believe it's a disease. So what I'm saying is, essentially, for the most part, you have to have a certain level of willpower in all facets of life, because, we aren't our own. We were bought at a price. Honor God with our bodies. Amen.